Number 3, Detective Mark Hoffman. My man, Costas Mandylor, makes it in the top 3. Where do I begin with this character? First of all, it has been said before on this channel that Hoffman single-handedly saved this franchise throughout its sequels to its final run in Saw 3D. I mean, this character was solely worth exploring all throughout each film, and you could see the development he'd gone through. If you really think about it, let's look back to where Hoffman started. In Saw 3, he was just a simple forensic cop alongside with Detective Carey, mentioned before, but then in Saw 4, when Carey is gone, someone else has to fill that void. And you think, okay, well maybe it's Mark Hoffman, seeing that he took over when Jigsaw's dead at the autopsy table. You're thinking from the beginning of Saw 4, okay, this is a cop that we're not going to root for. And then we get the reveal at the end of 4 that he is the actual Jigsaw accomplice. And then we go into that through Saw 5, and Saw 5 is the epitome film that is for Mark Hoffman. We figure out his backstory. We understand his character. We understand why he's helping Jigsaw. We understand the why he does what he does. But we also get to see how smart and calculating and cunning he is as a character. Not only pretending to be a cop and figuring that out on the side, but also being the main villain of the franchise while Jigsaw is gone. And then we slowly see it in Saw 6, him break down when he is truly challenged and his back is against the wall. He stands up and he fights like any core animal would, but then we see him slowly loses his way. He slowly changes where you see at the beginning of the franchise when he comes in as a true apprentice as to what Jigsaw would have to slowly change and morph and could be something completely different than what Amanda was, and that is a complete monster and killer when his back's against the wall. And not to mention he's having just the grandest all time in Saw 3D. For all the faults and problems that Saw 3D has, Hoffman had the most fun in that movie, killing all the cops, setting up all the traps, and finally getting the revenge at the end, getting Jill Tuck. It's just unfortunately that, he had to go out the way he did, but at the end of the day, all these years later, fans are still clamoring, is Hoffman still alive? And the fact that this character that so many fans of this franchise still ask about this day, even when Jigsaw was coming out in 2017, they were asking, well, where's Hoffman? Is he alive? Is he back? Even with Spiral coming out next year, fans are still clamoring, is Hoffman alive? We don't know. And to this day, even Costas Mandylor will go on his Instagram and say, hey, keep fighting for me. I want to come back. And the fact that someone like Costas Mandylor really cares about this character, along with the fan base around the world, he deserves to be in the top 3.
I agree with all of that. The one thing I will say is that I definitely believe that Costas Mandylor helped save this franchise. Not that it really needed any savings. I mean, obviously the Saw franchise was at the top of the world during the early and late aughts, but at the same time, you needed a character like Hoffman. So many other movie franchises fall off because it's just doing the exact same thing over and over and over again. And a lot of people might suggest that the Saw franchise did that as well, but the introduction of Hoffman in Saw 3, his exploration in Saw 4 and 5, and then just seeing him go straight to the wall in Saw 6 and Saw 7 really does hammer home why his character was needed. Throughout the first 3 or 4 films, we needed a character who would be able to beat John's game, beat him at where he lies, because all these people that we had seen throughout the entire franchise were all missing that little piece. Besides arguably Eric, who is able to beat down his foot, get out of the chains, get out of the bathroom, and then just let everything else consume him, was no longer looking for his son, was no longer doing anything, wanted pure revenge, and that's why he wasn't able to get out. Hoffman did the exact same thing, but he wasn't going to let anyone trick him or get him in a corner, was able to save himself in the most brutal, savage way possible, and then completely went slasher film villainry in Saw 3D. This guy is a monster. And that is one of the reasons, as Jacob said, Saw 3D works. Yes, it has a lot of its faults, but it is the anti-Saw film because of who Hoffman's character was and how they built his character throughout the previous 4 films. It's really interesting, and I feel like it's one of the only reasons why I will go back and watch that movie these days, and I feel like if you haven't, you really should. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this entry in SAW-Tober. Make sure to come back tomorrow and every day up until October 30th, where we're going to be counting down the 9 best Saul characters from the entire franchise. Also, make sure to go down to the description section below, hit that link, and go over to Jacob's channel where you can see the corresponding worst list that we're putting on over there. SAW-Tober this year is twice the fun, so I hope you guys are enjoying it. It's been real.